Adrian N. Breitfelder, City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a regular session of the City Council to be held on Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023, at 6:30 p.m. in the historic Federal Building for the purpose of conducting such business that may properly come before the City Council.
Thank you. Good evening, and welcome to a regular session of the Dubuque City Council for January 3rd, 2023. As a reminder to our participants, you can provide in-person input or virtual audio and written input during the sections of the agenda where public input is accepted. Input options during the live meeting include: in-person attendees may approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any public input on the item they would like to speak to. Remote attendees can log into GoToMeeting using the login links, phone numbers, and access code that appear on the broadcast and live stream and posted on the front page of the meeting agenda. This option includes audio input and written chat input. If you are participating via computer, indicate which item you would like to speak to in the chat function, or note that you would like to speak during the appropriate section. If you are participating via phone, indicate which item you would like to speak to when phone lines are unmuted. All phone lines will be unmuted during the consent agenda, public hearings, and public input periods, and city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. All comments, whether in person or virtual, must be accompanied by a name and address. Additionally, written public input is accepted by contacting the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/council-contacts, and through the City Clerk's office email at ctyclerk@cityofdubuque.org. This information will be reiterated during the meeting. Attendance for the session is as follows: Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here.
Council members Farber.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Resnick.
Here.
Roussel.
Here.
Sprank.
Here.
Wethel.
Here.
City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
And City Attorney Brumwell. Thank you. Mayor Kavanaugh, I will turn it over to you for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, thank you, Adrian. I invite all who are able to please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to presentations. We have the COVID-19 update.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm Mary Rose Corrigan, Public Health Director with the City of Dubuque Health Services Department, here with your January 3rd, 2023 COVID-19 update. So this is the overall epi curve for almost the past 3 years, which is about how long we've been dealing with this pandemic. And as you can see, since about April, we've not had a major spike as we did in the last 2 years. So we hope this trend continues. Right now, we are continuing to tread downward. So since December 1st, we've had a total of 701 cases, and the majority of these cases have been in the very young, or the 0 to 10-year-old children, or the very old, the 85 and older population. And we know that both of those groups have weaker immune systems, either less developed or waning immune systems, which makes them more susceptible. The other age groups have fairly equal access to the virus in the last month. Our 7-day case count has taken a big dip the last 2 weeks of December, surprisingly so, even though with the holidays. We're not yet sure if this is a result of perhaps people not going to the doctor as much over the holidays with them not being open as much to be tested, or if the cases are simply going down. And it's still, these numbers do not include the number of people who use home test kits, and it's not reported through their doctor's office. Our community level remains at medium. However, you'll notice that most of the state of Iowa is now falling into the low category, another good sign, just a pocket of eastern Iowa here that's in the medium category. But the metrics under that category are significantly lower since the end of November when we last looked at this with you. Vaccinations are not moving up in numbers, In fact, the percentage of fully vaccinated people that are 5 years old or greater that have a bivalent booster is 19.8%. This metric was 19% the first part of December when I reported. And likewise, those that are fully vaccinated of our population is 66.5%, and I believe that's up about 0.5% since the first part of December. During December, the FDA and CDC approved the Moderna and Pfizer bivalent vaccines for very young children, 6 months to 4 years of age. We've kind of had a slow, steady stream of people getting vaccinated in that age category. We don't yet have metrics on the numbers yet. That will probably come in a few weeks to report out like I do the other age groups. So now that we have everyone able to use this bivalent as a booster, the monovalent vaccines or the initial vaccines that we were first using are not given to anybody as boosters. They are still, however, given if you've never received the primary series of the 2 doses. So we continue to offer walk-in clinics through our VNA on Mondays and Fridays, and then our other healthcare providers and retail outlets are still providing vaccine free of charge. Most without an appointment, although some do prefer appointments. And the other respiratory diseases, the influenza surveillance notes that Iowa is in a high category right now, as is most of the country. We are seeing a few states starting to revert and go down in numbers of influenza, which may mean that we peaked early this year. Hopefully that will be the case. You can see the hospitalizations dipped a little bit in Iowa, and I think the number is 47 influenza deaths in the state this year. Our RSV cases in children has also declined. The hospitals do not have, they are only occupying a few beds with children with RSV in them at this time, so that number is way down and kind of back to normal. So we are do not have a capacity issue with pediatric patients right now. So some interesting research that has come out regarding the COVID vaccine. A Commonwealth study funded estimates that through November 2022, COVID-19 vaccines prevented more than 18.5 million U.S. hospitalizations and also prevented 3.2 million deaths, saving the country $1.15 trillion. And there's also a couple of other studies, one among immunocompetent adults aged greater than 65 were hospitalized. A bivalent dose provided 73% additional protection against COVID-19 hospitalization compared with just having the only 2-dose initial vaccine series. And another study also showed that having the bivalent booster also protects people from ending up in the emergency room or the acute clinics. So basically, more and more research is showing the effectiveness of vaccine, not only in preventing COVID, but preventing severe illness, hospitalization, and death, which is a major accomplishment and goal. And I think that's probably the reason why our numbers, we haven't seen a big spike in the last year. So that's all I have to report on COVID tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, thanks, Mary Rose. Any questions? My only question this evening is, the numbers, they keep getting harder and harder to deal with in some ways because we don't get the hospitalization numbers anymore. We don't, and I guess my biggest question tonight is, do we have any sort of an estimate on how many people nationwide or even regionally are getting COVID but not reporting it? Does anybody have a sense of what that number is?
At one time, there was a couple estimates that it was 7 times the number of reported cases, but I haven't seen anybody make an estimate on that in quite a while. I will say one thing I forgot to mention is, everybody continues to monitor the variants, and so that's still a wild card out there, but the number of cases, that'll be an interesting one if it ever comes out, because I'm not sure. And keep in mind that that's how we monitor influenza and have for a long time, because influenza is not a reportable disease. We do it based on sentinel sites and estimations and hospitalizations. So it's becoming more like how we monitor it, like an influenza virus.
Gotcha. But currently, we are still monitoring, but based on the numbers that are actually reported, right?
Yes, and, we do meet regularly with the hospitals and know their numbers, like, on a biweekly basis, and they definitely let us know if there's any issues, so they're just not reporting it out.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time as always, so thank you. All right, Adrian.
We will move on to proclamations. Our proclamation tonight is Human Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month.
All right, and I believe Sister Mary Lou Irons is here to accept this evening.
I am here.
Well, thank you for coming. Do you have anything you'd like to say before I read the proclamation this evening?
Well, yes. I thought I was going to be after you, but
It's your choice.
no, I'll be before you.
Okay, perfect.
As you've already mentioned, I am Sister Mary Lou Irons, and I'm a member of the local Tri-State Coalition Against Human Trafficking and Modern-Day Slavery group. So on behalf of that group, I want to thank you for making this proclamation, because by your proclaiming this month as a prevention month, that alerts people to the fact that human trafficking is happening right here in Dubuque County. So I appreciate that. The whole group appreciates that. Our group was founded 8 years ago to work toward ending all forms of human trafficking through education, advocacy, and collaboration. And so we as a group look forward to working with law enforcement, social agencies, schools, citizens who want to know about human trafficking and are concerned about the end of it. I would like to also recognize some of the members of the group that are here with me this evening. I think you see Sister Myra and Sister Irene and Sister Mary Lechtenberg. The last thing I would like to say is, and I have posters in case anyone is willing to put them up in your buildings. We are very excited about an in-service seminar, conference, training day on January 14th at Shalom Center. It is going to be one of the best things that will be held in Dubuque County this year to help citizens and people interested in this topic to learn more and to join forces in collaboration. So with that, I give the mic back to you, Mayor Kavanaugh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the work that you've all done. I mean, I know just for the years that you've been in existence here in Dubuque, you've worked tirelessly on this, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you for being here to accept this proclamation this evening. City of Dubuque proclamation. Whereas by presidential proclamation, each January has been designated National Human Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. In addition, January 11th has been designated National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. And whereas the issues of sex trafficking and labor trafficking are a violation of human rights, the hope of this proclamation is to raise awareness of this topic. And whereas the City of Dubuque wishes to acknowledge the following organization for their work in spreading awareness of this modern-day slavery: Tri-State Coalition Against Human Trafficking and Slavery. And whereas the United Nations Global Plan of Action has 3 pillars upon which it stands: protect, prevent, prosecute. We invite all residents of Dubuque to educate themselves on this matter and to support these 3 pillars and to help eradicate the problem. And whereas the Tri-State Coalition Against Human Trafficking was established to educate neighbors as to the problem of human trafficking and they invite you to join them for a January 14th Human Trafficking Education Day at Shalom Retreat Center in Dubuque, Iowa. And whereas, as human trafficking is both a national and local issue, we invite all civic leaders and residents to support the efforts of the Tri-State Coalition to train all local hotel and motel staff and all businesses in recognizing the signs of trafficking. Now therefore, I, Brad M. Kavanaugh, Mayor of the City of Dubuque, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council staff and residents of Dubuque, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2023 as Human Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the City of Dubuque, Iowa, and recognize January 11th, 2023 as National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. In so doing, we urge our residents to educate themselves to help prevent trafficking and to protect victims. And sister, if you want to come back up, I can hand the proclamation right to you. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Thank you. No, we know right where it is. Thank you, sister. All right, Adrian.
We will move on to consent items. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the consent items, please approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Please state the item you would like removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and consideration. And consent items can be found on pages 2 through 4 of the agenda.
All right, thank you, Adrian. Anyone here in chambers that wants to remove any of the items for separate discussion from the consent agenda today? We have anyone virtually?
No one virtually.
Okay. Seeing no one then, I'll bring it back to the table. Mr. Jones.
Number 14, please.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Number 16, please.
All right, so number 14 and number 16 is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file the documents, adopt the resolutions, and deal with the consent items as recommended, except for number 14 and number 16.
Second?
Got a motion by Resnick and a second by Farber. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber,
Aye.
Wethel,
Aye.
Resnick,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Roussel,
Aye.
Sprank, Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Jones, number 14.
Just wanted to point out to the community that there's a job fair day after tomorrow at 3 o'clock at the Bunker Hill Clubhouse for anybody age 15 and older that wants to have a summer that they're going to remember and the joy that they had working in it for the rest of their life. We've got all kinds of opportunities. We're looking to hire a small army of people. The wages are competitive or better. The opportunity and experience is going to be fantastic, and I hope you'll show up for that. I can tell you that 30 people that ride my school bus all went home with the color printout of the back flyer of the rec program that's going to be coming out soon from Leisure Services, talking about some of these positions. But we need you. We'd like to have you, and if everybody in this room would go find us a 15, 16-year-old or 100-year-old that wants to do something exciting this summer, tell them about this. We'd like to see them. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to the rec department. Some really good work in this agenda item that I just thought needed a few words said about it. It's that good.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Quick point of order. Krenna, I think this is a question for you. I always forget this when we pull stuff from the consent agenda. Do we need a motion before we actually start discussing it normally? Or do we take that afterwards?
For consent, you can do it.
Oh, you cut out there, Krenna. Can you repeat that, please?
For consent, you can do it after.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I guess I would add, I move adoption as recommended of item 14.
So, okay. I think it's just receive and file for this particular item, is it? Okay. So Mr. Jones moves to receive and file.
Second?
Second by Mr. Resnick. So, Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber,
Aye.
Wethel,
Aye.
Resnick,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Roussel,
Aye.
Sprank, Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. So number 16, Ms. Roussel.
Thank you. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Adrian and congratulate her for achieving the Certified Municipal Clerk designation. Her pursuit of knowledge and always looking to do things better, we are so fortunate to have such a hardworking and professional clerk, and I know that she's achieved this 2 years ahead of schedule. So congratulations and thank you for your hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adrian, I just want to point out too, I mean, this is a big deal. Everybody needs to know this. This is a big deal that Adrian has achieved this. So I'm very happy that Ms. Roussel has chosen to pull this from the consent agenda. It fits on the consent agenda, but it is something we need to talk about. So we're very glad to have you as our city clerk and to have you in this role as a person who works so diligently every day to make sure that everything that we do here gets done as well as it does. So thank you. And I think we definitely should give you a round of applause for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to receive and file.
Second.
All right, he's got a motion by Roussel and a second by Farber. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
We will move on to boards and commissions. We have applicant review for the Civic Center Advisory Commission, the Community Development Advisory Commission, and the Housing Commission.
All right, thank you, Adrian. So we'll go with the Civic Center Advisory Commission first. We have one 3-year term through June 29th, 2024, and we have 3 applicants, Jesse Gavin, Peter Gall, and Danielle Jacobs. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on any of these applications this evening?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Jesse Gavin, 1120 Main Street. Most of you know me through my current position as the marketing manager for the Five Flags Center, but because of a new opportunity, that will no longer be the case after this Friday. Obviously, with the work that has been done at Five Flags, started before my time there by the former general manager H.R. Cook to really bring the facility back into the forefront of live entertainment in Dubuque, and everything that we did to survive the COVID-19 pandemic. I feel a little bit of, I guess, ownership would be the word, and want to see that progress continue into the coming years, especially with the anticipated improvements that will be made at the facility. And obviously the role of the Advisory Commission has been very important over the past few years and will remain important as we move forward with those possibilities of seeing what can happen with that $24 million that's been earmarked. Obviously, as somebody that has worked at the facility and been one of the public faces of it, and also moderated the Facebook comments on our page, I have a pretty unique understanding of what the challenges are within the building, and would be able to bring that knowledge to bear on whatever discussions come up in the next couple of years as far as looking at those potential improvements. So I know I emailed all of you as a group, but felt it was important to come here and speak with you in person as well. Appreciate your consideration. Would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jesse. I
Thank you.
think we're good. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right, any others for these 3 applications? All right, anyone virtually?
We do have both Peter Gall and Danielle Jacobs online virtually, so we'll just go in alphabetical order. So Peter Gall, if you'd like to take yourself off of mute, you're able to speak now.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This is actually the 3rd time I've applied for the position on the commission. It's something that is very much of an interest to me. In the 20-some years I've lived in Dubuque, I've probably been to 100 different events at the Five Flags Theater and the arena. I go to concerts and various activities at arenas, I would say almost all over the country. I talk with people that are there, so I know what things are of interest to the public. You know, I know the things that people want to see there, both infrastructure-wise and entertainment-wise. So I bring a perspective of all the years I've been at events there and all around the United States. Again, this is something that's very dear to my heart. I've got 2 kids that I want them to be able to seek and go to different kinds of entertainment, and I want the Five Flags to be here for ages to come, because I think it provides a lot to the community, not just in terms of the building itself, but for the hotels and restaurants and other places in the Dubuque area where people come to when there's events there. So, like I said, it's something that I'm very interested in doing, and I would like your consideration for the position.
Well, Peter, thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us tonight. We really appreciate you doing that and being able to address us like this, so thank you. All right, and then we have Danielle next. So Danielle, when you're ready.
Hello, Danielle Jacobs, 3130 Shirus Avenue. I've applied also for the Civic Center Advisory Commission, and I believe I could be of positive service to the community in this role. I'm a new resident of Dubuque here, just shy of 4 months, so I have a fresh perspective. I've spent the last 15 years as a tourist to Dubuque and finally reached my dream of moving here for my dream job. I'm invested in the viability of the building from an operational and budgeting standpoint. And as the director of Dubuque Main Street, it's part of my job to assist in the promotional support of this organization and its events. I can also use my position to make connections and provide resources from a local, regional, state, and national perspective. As an entertainment lover, I've attended several events at Five Flags. Prior to my position at Dubuque Main Street, I managed an event venue in Freeport, Illinois. I've been a professional event planner for 10 years and a live music promoter for 15 years. I can be a valuable resource for programming and promotional possibilities. We have a gem here in downtown Dubuque with an exciting future. A lot of work has been done to the improvement of Five Flags, and I'd love to be a part of it by serving on the commission. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Danielle, and thank you as well for taking the time to be here to speak with us this evening. Okay. The Community Development Advisory Commission has 2 3-year terms through February 15th, 2026. There's a couple of specific terms that are expiring. So we have Kelly Fox as one applicant and Gabriel Mozina as another. Do we have anyone to address us on these 2 applications? Anyone virtually this evening?
No one virtually.
Okay. All right, then I'll move on to the Housing Commission. We have 1 3-year term through August 17th, 2024, and Ross Janes is the one applicant for that.
Mayor, City Council, Ross James, 2741 Muscatine. I know a few of you on here, but just to give you a little background on myself, I've worked for the Department of Correctional Services for 25 years. I'm currently a probation officer there. I also coached at Dubuque Senior for 14 years as a football coach, and now baseball coach next summer. But in those two situations, my job and my coaching, I've recognized the impact that housing has on our community, on families, and housing stability, and particularly, and the family members of those and those people that are found guilty of crimes that I deal with. From that standpoint, for my employment, there are 3 kind of things that we try to address with everyone. That's 1 is substance abuse, number 2 is employment, and number 3 is housing stability. And so of those 3 things, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna throw my hand into the Housing Commission and just see if there's something that I can do to help the community with that. So with that, I would take any questions that you had.
Well, Ross, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here to speak with us tonight about this application. And before we move on to public hearings, I just really briefly want to say I'm continually impressed with the quality of candidates that we get for these boards and commissions. We ask for people to step up and serve their community, and I just want to say just a blanket thank you for all the folks that have done that. It's definitely a difficult choice for us when we have multiple great candidates for one position that's open. So I want everybody to know how much we do appreciate you applying, and if when the time comes that we do choose these in the next meeting, if you are not the one chosen, I do encourage you to continue to apply to this or other commissions. We really do appreciate that people are stepping up for this, so thank you. All right, Adrian.
We will move on to public hearings. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the public hearing items, please plan to approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input for the public hearing you would like to speak to. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function and state your question, or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input for the public hearing you would like to speak to. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Our public hearing tonight is resolution approving the development agreement by and between the City of Dubuque and McCoy Group Incorporated, including the issuance of urban renewal tax increment revenue grant obligations.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Got a motion by Resnick, second by Jones. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Economic Development Director Jill Connors is recommending City Council adopt a resolution approving the development agreement by and between the City of Dubuque and McCoy Group Incorporated, including the issuance of urban renewal tax increment revenue grant obligations. McCoy Group is proposing to build a 78,370 square foot corporate headquarters in the same general location as its existing facility located at 2099 South Park Court. The company plans to invest approximately $33 million in remodeling, construction, and machinery and equipment. The project is anticipated to begin shortly after the finalization of the development agreement. In addition to the physical improvements, McCoy Group is proposing to create 18 new jobs with this expansion, all of which are considered high-quality jobs by the Iowa Economic Development Authority. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. We are in a public hearing to consider City Council adoption of a resolution approving the development agreement by and between the City of Dubuque and McCoy Group Incorporated, including the issuance of urban renewal tax increment revenue grant obligations. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on this item this evening?
Well, good evening, everyone. Good to see you all here. The McCoy Group would like to thank you.
If you could start by identifying yourself and your address
sure.
too, please. Yeah, appreciate that.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
First timer.
Yep, that's all right.
Got it. My name is Jim Conley, and I'm the Director of Marketing here for the McCoy Group. Thank you for having us here, too, by the way. This is my first time I've ever attended a city council meeting, and it's been a really neat experience, so thank you for that. We'd also like to thank the city council, mayor, city manager for your support of our proposed building project. The McCoy Group is a third-generation family-owned business that started in Shullsburg, Wisconsin. And it started with 2 dealerships. And we've always believed that through the support of the Dubuque community and the surrounding areas, they've helped us grow and add many jobs into our businesses. As a company, we also believe in giving back to the community. And we do that through generous financial support through the McCoy family, also through the McCoy Group, as well as the volunteer efforts from our employees. The McCoy Group has a diverse set of businesses. They range from 26 different Freightliner dealerships, which sell heavy and medium duty trucks, along with 16 construction and forestry dealerships that sell John Deere equipment. We also have 40 locations of a bulk transportation division that are housed all over the United States and also in Mexico. Customer demand and organic growth, along with acquisitions, have fueled the need for us to expand our corporate office. As mentioned, we anticipate creating no less than 18 jobs, but we do have the intent of adding up to 60 new full-time employees over the next 5 years, which will increase our total employee count in the corporate office to 280 people. Currently, the company employs 220 full-time employees, along with 10 part-time employees at our current corporate office location. These new positions, as mentioned, will be designed to provide a better mix for us to serve our customers and enhance the overall operations of our businesses. Like myself, you all may know the McCoy Group as Truck Country. It's a very proud, well-known local brand. But we also have these John Deere construction dealerships that sell John Deere equipment that's built here in Dubuque, Iowa, also in Davenport, and that gives me a lot of pride, just being from the area. This building project is essential for our continued growth. So we look forward to a successful building project that will add jobs to our community and will also help us grow. So we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank
Just
you.
real quick before you go, an address for the record as well, too. We always need to get an address.
Oh, my personal address or the work
Whichever
address?
one you'd like to give for this one. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do 501 Bell Street
Okay.
here in Dubuque, Iowa.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right. Any others this evening to address us? Anybody virtually?
No one virtually.
Okay. In that case, I'll bring it back to the table for discussion, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Farber.
Well, thank you very much, Jim, for the overall presentation, and can't tell you how much it's just great to see another family-run business here in Dubuque, which is really a major part of the economic engine here, whether it's manufacturing, trucking, et cetera. So thank you very much, and a shout out to the McCoys for their generosity and ongoing support. And what a great project, what a great gateway entrance for the city of Dubuque with that beautiful building. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing, and I look forward to supporting this.
You.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Mr. Jones.
we hardly ever get no-brainers. This is one. Thank you.
Anybody want to try to top that? No. Well, I will say, it's continually exciting. We've had a number of, great options or great opportunities to vote for development agreements here in this past year of local companies staying local. And, together we can continue to make this a great city. And thank you so much for being a part of that. There are a lot of places in the world that businesses can go these days. And we want to continue to build a place where we can have people right here, right at home. So thank you so much for this. I too look forward to voting for this. I also see it as a no-brainer, as Mr. Jones pointed out. So thank you for all your work, and thank you for the work on city staff on this as well. Any other discussion? All right, well, the motion is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
We will move on to public input. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting may address the City Council on the action items on the agenda or on matters under the control of the City Council. For all in-person attendees, please approach the podium and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Individual remarks are limited to 5 minutes, and the overall public input period is limited to 30 minutes. Under the Iowa Open Meetings Law, the City Council can take no formal action on comments given during public input or that do not relate to the action items on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Adrian. Do we have any public input this evening?
Mr. Mayor, my name is Rick Dickinson. I reside at 205 Hill Street in Dubuque, Iowa, and I serve as president of Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, City Manager Mike Van Milligan, and your most excellent employees. I rise for a point of personal privilege to talk about three things, that one which you've already ruled on, and the others for consideration later. First of all, McCoy project. Thank you for your vote and support for that project. Thank you to McCoy Group for this great project. The reason I want to come up is to share with the citizens the innovative development agreement that was negotiated between the City of Dubuque and McCoy Group. The innovation is the creative and appropriate use of tax increment financing, not only to support the McCoy Group. Realize that, yes, they have nearly 300 employees in our market, but they have 3,800 employees across North America. They could go anywhere in the country they want to, but they choose to come here. And the city has used tax increment financing to help support that project, and creatively to also support infrastructure, the roads serving that development that are in poor condition. And the use of those dollars through new valuation created by the building to be built by McCoy Group allows the city then to have the revenue available to make those improvements. And within 10 years beyond that, there will be a new development that will have increment that will return to the schools and the county and the city for decades to come. Secondly, I'd like to just mention the Central Avenue Corridor Streetscape plan you will be considering. Thank you for doing that. David Lyons from our office has been instrumental in working with the city manager and staff on that project. And Dubuque Initiatives has been very supportive of working with taking tire properties on that 1700 and 1800 block. This is a great plan, and I encourage your favorable consideration of it. And lastly, the Central Avenue White Street truck route. I want to thank you for considering pushing back that date with the city manager's recommendation before truck traffic would be changed in downtown Dubuque to December of 2023. Most importantly, this 1 year will allow us to work with individual employers that would be negatively impacted by elimination of truck routes through downtown Dubuque. The city manager and his staff has already sat down with at least one principal employer who would be impacted by the change in truck routes. And we intend to work closely with the city manager and his staff in the coming year to work with all employers in downtown. One, to improve downtown traffic, improve the live-work environment for our community, but also not increase costs to our local employers, and certainly not increase congestion on Highway 20 Dodge Street going east and west. So that's our intent, to work closely with the city manager and our employers in our market, and I thank you for consideration of all three of these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, for being here tonight. We appreciate your comments. Any other public input this evening? Okay, do we have anyone virtually?
No one virtually, but regarding action item number 2, Jeff DeSico, president of Key City Creative Center, submitted written input, and that's been uploaded to the agenda item.
Okay, all right, thank you. This is the chance to speak about anything on the action items if you want to. I saw you almost getting up there, so yeah. Either
Mayor and City Council, thank you for this opportunity to address you. My name is Eric Atier, and I reside at 325 Monroe Street here in Dubuque. I'm a co-director over at Key City Creative Center and also a member of its board of directors. The following statement is from an email sent to each of you earlier. Key City Creative Center Board and its 80 members support approval of the revised Central Corridor Master Plan. We appreciate the investment the City of Dubuque will be making in our neighborhood. We also appreciate the time you, Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Sprank, David Lyons, Jill Connors, and Ryan Peterson spent with us during this past summer to discuss our questions about the master plan. The updated draft addressed our concerns about the visibility of our front door and parking for our members. The master plan, drafted 5/13/19, page 17, states citizens and businesses currently residing in the neighborhood are the target audience for the project's proposed improvements. Key City Creative Center has been an activity generator in the neighborhood for over 5 years. Our members come from all parts of the city. According to our entrance and exit data, approximately 30 members enter Key City Creative Center daily. They create art, enjoy hobbies, and run small businesses from our facility. They spend time and money in the Central Corridor. Our building owner and founder invested heavily in an empty building, and our nonprofit is continually improving the property. Several businesses in the area, such as Stone Dart, Hot Diggity Dogs, and Devour Cafe, are located at the Central Curve as a direct result of activity at Key City Creative Center. In other words, we are part of the target audience for the proposed project. We strongly urge you to consider option B as you move forward with approving plans for the central curve. If option B is selected, we believe Key City can continue to be a successful anchor in the neighborhood. As stated during your work session on December 19th, both options improve the safety for pedestrians in the neighborhood. We agree that pedestrian safety is a priority and should be an equitable priority along the entire 11-block project, 18th Street, and our main entrance. And our main entrance is the only proposed street closure. There are no recorded incidents of pedestrian injuries at the crossing at 18th Street since Key City Creative Center opened in 2016. Closing off 18th Street will force more traffic through an alley that is frequently used for a playground. We do not believe there is data to support selecting option A as more safe than option B. Cutting off 18th Street will limit access for large vehicles at our main entrance. On average, according to our entrance and exit data, 3 members per day need access for large vehicles for deliveries and/or shipments. Snow accumulation and removal will create even more concerns regarding access for deliveries and emergency vehicles, forcing more traffic through the alley. Both options include a plaza area. While there are no detailed plans for the use of the plaza at this time, Key City Creative Center's members could host and participate in art shows and crafts fairs in that space. If needed, option B allows the street to be temporarily closed to allow for more space while it does not permanently close off access to our main entrance. We believe option B will allow our nonprofit, which represents 30 small businesses and 80 members, to continue to prosper. With option A, Key City would be the only business cut off from access to its front door from Central. This challenges our prosperity. Please honor the investment we have been making in the neighborhood since 2016. Select option B as you move forward with the Central Corridor improvement plans. Thank you on the behalf of our board and membership.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Tim Hitzler, 2655 Fulton Street. I don't really have anything to add other than more than what Eric said, but just thank you for doing this, and thank everyone that helped out with this, and also thank you for keeping us keeping Key City Creative Center in mind when you make these decisions.
Thank you, Tim, for your comments.
Hey guys, Bill Doyle, 1591 White Street, also staff member at Heritage Works. Just wanted to come and voice our support for the streetscaping plan for the Central Corridor project. I live in that neighborhood and really love it. Actually was a member at Key City for a while. You know, I guess there's some small stuff to work through, but I think this streetscaping stuff will be kind of a force multiplier with all the historic rehabilitations, that sort of things we've been doing in that strip. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate the comments. All right. Well, seeing no further public input, we can move on to action items. Adrian?
Action item number 1 is mayor and city council appointments to various boards and committees.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Russell?
I move to receive and file and discuss with council.
Second by Sprank.
A motion by Roussel and a second by Sprank. So, Adrian, did you have anything you wanted to address before we begin talking about this?
Yeah, I'll just summarize that since this is the first regular session city council meeting of the year, the mayor and city council requested to review their appointments to their various boards and committees for any changes to the year, and that those documents have been provided, and that any changes will be notified by the city clerk's office to the appropriate staff.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Okay, any discussion on this? Feels like we just talked about it, thanks to our newest member here on my left. But it is, you know, one of the things that came out of that discussion, I think, was the fact that it was nice to see some change up a little bit in a few of the different boards and commissions appointments we've had. I know I get to see Mr. Resnick more often, for instance, in a couple of different areas, and it's nice to have a new voice in the room. So does anybody else have any desire to change anything on this right now, or are we pretty happy with where we are? Mr. Sprague.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only one that I kind of have a conflict with, because I have a neighborhood meeting the same night, is the Friends of the Mines of Spain. Meets the first Tuesday of the month. And unfortunately, I have a neighborhood meeting that meets the same time. So, does anybody want to pick that one up?
Would be willing to do that one. I was just going to check my calendar to see if I have anything on that night. I think that would work for me.
Okay.
It's an evening meeting, yes. I think 6 or 6:30, maybe 7:30 at the latest. So.
I will defer to you, Laura, but as I have the fewest, I'm happy also to take it on if you would like me to.
And I know that evening is probably better for you than a daytime commitment.
Probably, yeah.
Feel free.
Great, thank you.
All right. So then, Mr. Sprank, removing yourself from that particular board, and then Ms. Wethel, you're willing to take it on?
That would
Okay.
be great, thank you.
All right. Thank you both. Any others? That means we're happy with where we are, so that's good. Okay, good, excellent. Well, with that said then, Adrian, do you need anything else from us, or is?
I would just suggest amending the motion to receive and file and appoint Katie Wethel to the Friends of the Mines of Spain Board and to maintain all other appointments as stated.
I will amend my motion to receive and file and to add Katie Wethel to the Friends of the Mines of Spain and to make all of the other appointments as is, to leave them as is.
Impressive memory, Ms. Roussel.
Second.
Yes, so we got a motion by Ms. Roussel and a second by Mr. Sprank. Okay.
Point of order, do
Yeah.
we need to remove Danny from the motion?
Just because his name is in there?
Yeah.
And to remove Mr. Sprank from that board as well.
Oh, during the motion, I'm sorry, that's the one piece that was missed. Thank you very much, Mr. Jones, yes. So, we clear on that, Adrian? Removing Mr. Sprank and adding Ms. Wethel, okay.
Because you gotta keep going.
All right.
True.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, any other discussion then before we vote? All right then, we have a motion and a second. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 2 is Central Avenue Corridor Streetscape Master Plan adoption.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank.
I motion that we receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second.
A motion by Sprank and a second by Jones. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Economic Development Director Jill Connors is recommending City Council adopt the Central Avenue Corridor Streetscape Master Plan. This project will help to implement a high priority of the City Council's 2022-2024 policy agenda, Central Avenue Revitalization Plan, adoption, direction, and city actions. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Resnick.
Yes, I know we had a recent work session, and the question about option A and option B at the time is that we were going to leave this for future consideration. Is that still the plan, or is this a time to weigh in, or should we wait for more research and expert opinion to come before us? Or how would you like to deal with that?
That's my understanding, Mike. I'm going to defer to you to answer a little bit more of that, please.
Yeah, that's correct. You'll be getting this issue before you numerous times with additional information like traffic studies and things like that. And then you'll make those decisions on which options you select.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Roussel.
Okay. Well, I'm encouraged by all the citizen and business input. I like that this plan will provide a cohesive guidelines for development and investment and placemaking. I think it'll benefit all the stakeholders and the entire community and enhance the area so to make it a place where people want to live, work, shop, and just enjoy spending time there. So I'm pleased to support this plan and get things rolling on yet another city council priority.
Thank you, Ms. Roussel. Ms. Farber.
Yes. So on behalf of the Historic Preservation Group and the inputs, thank you very much, Mike, for that. I think it's great that we're taking a look at our downtown assets and we're incorporating how to work, how to live, how to play, and do it in a redevelopment way with city support for a lively neighborhood. And you know, up until the time I moved back to Dubuque, I lived in apartment buildings in neighborhoods in various cities, not only in the United States, but also in Europe. And I just found that there's a beat. People have pride in their neighborhoods, if you will, and sometimes it's very hard in larger cities to get people to move outside their zip codes because they're so comfortable in their neighborhoods. So this is just great, and I'm very pleased to see the development and the energy that we can put into that corridor. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farber. Mr. Sprank.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, this is probably one of the, I'd say, pillars or one of the reasons that I got on to City Council, because I wanted to see this happen and move forward. So I'm very happy that this is moving ahead. So it'd be really interesting to see as the years progress. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wethel.
I just want to thank all of those who are here and who may be listening. I think we would be hard pressed to find a neighborhood in Dubuque that is as invested and has tried to use their voice to make change. And so the business owners and property owners that are on near Central Avenue, kudos, because I think that I want you to know I hear your voice. I appreciate the work you do. I think that considering 30 small businesses and 80 membership is in one building, and I remember when that building was created, and it's just exciting to see that that momentum is present and that it will only build. And so it's a great deal because of all of your efforts and all of your time and energy investment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
I guess I have to give a shout out, particularly the Key City team, for inviting us to your place, to tell us a story, to sticking with us through times when you weren't so happy with us, and helping us find the way to where we can all be happy together. I think your point's spot on. You are the anchor right now. You've done a great deal and brought some success. I appreciate being invited into your shop to talk about it. Appreciate that I wasn't treated hostilely at all, even though it was kind of a hostile thought that brought me there. But once we talked, and so this isn't set in stone. This is a first draft. Here's how we keep engaged. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for staying engaged, and thanks for all that you do. And to everybody else along that central corridor, I'm just so excited to make this a place to be, that people want to be. And I stumbled onto a quote that says, "A place to be instead of a place to be stuck." For some of the folks in the neighborhood, I wanted to have a place that they're proud to be, and I want everybody to enjoy driving down Central Avenue and saying, "Wow, look at this." So here we come. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And I'll just, generally echo here, but I think when I try to think about issues that we've talked about the most, since my time on City Council and before my time on City Council, this one I think is at the top of the list. We've just had so much great conversation about this particular plan and about this particular area of town. And I sincerely appreciate that. I really do appreciate the fact that so many people have been able to provide input, people who are living in the neighborhood, people who work in the neighborhood, people who want to see the neighborhood just grow and change and improve in the right ways. I think it's been important that we've had this discussion around what is going to be best for the folks that have made this part of town their home already, and not a discussion about what can we do to make this better, even if it pushes people out. I think it's really important that as we move this discussion forward, we talk about it in a way that is going to work for what's there now and what it can be as it goes forward. Because I see this, in my mind, I see it as a continuation of some of the great things that we've already done in downtown Dubuque. And this is going to be the next great rebirth of some things that have really gotten just too old and tired in so many ways. I want to see this be a place where people can, we're going to have some great apartments where people can live. We're going to have more businesses, the anchors that are there now, and that have made this your home, to be able to start this and really be the trendsetters. I appreciate that so much, but there's going to be so many other people that can hop on board with that. And then I can't wait to make it a place where it really is for all of us who want to go for a good walk down Central Avenue. You know, I really do think this needs to be a very pedestrian-centric project, and that's something that I think we'll be talking quite a bit about as we move forward. So I'm excited for this tonight, moving on, and then really excited for future discussions about what we're going to be talking about with this. So thanks for everybody's input. Let's keep that great collaboration going. We have a motion by Sprank and a second by Jones. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 3 is Central Avenue White Street Truck Route, amend Commercial Motor Vehicles Ordinance to December 31st, 2023.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the communications and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Sprank.
A motion by Jones and a second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan, City Engineer Gus Sahoyas, and Assistant City Engineer Bob Schissel are recommending City Council amend the current city ordinance regulating commercial motor vehicles to allow motor trucks to continue to use Central Avenue and White Street corridor as an authorized truck route through December 31st, 2023. This time extension will allow work on the Northwest Arterial to be completed. This additional time will also allow for the city, Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, and local impacted businesses to work together and collaborate on alternative solutions for commercial motor vehicles traveling through and around the city. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Sprank.
This has moved a few times, so I just have something I wanted to talk about. And so I was wondering if there would be consensus for speed limit change on Central and White Street to slow down traffic. If so, this would be requesting revision of a separate existing ordinance relating to the speed limits of Central Avenue from 30th Street to 4th Street and White Street from 5th Street to 21st Street. If approved, I am requesting for the speed limit to be lowered from 25 to 20 miles on Central and White, effective within the next 90 days. Of course, this would be a separate motion, of course. This would give city staff time to purchase new signage and have it installed. After meeting with several business owners, building owners, and homeowners on Central and White Street, the concerns I've heard since 2019 are the amount of truck traffic as well as the speed of traffic. Neighbors and business owners are fully aware of the need for semi-trucks to deliver goods and services in the area. We have multiple long-term employees as well as restaurants and bars relying on daily semi-truck deliveries to their businesses. My own employer at 2820 Elm Street receives multiple weekly semi-trucks with 52-foot-long trailers. For almost 16 years, I have personally had to provide very detailed directions on how to arrive to our building in the middle of a residential neighborhood. In addition, when I've ridden the Jewel bus's Green Line in the late afternoons, I've chatted with Prescott's elementary para staff who ride the city bus to make sure the elementary students arrive safely to their bus stops. In my conversations, I've learned nearly 20 elementary students are riding our city's Jewel bus's Green Line. In addition to additional conversations with the Prescott staff, the number of students enrolled has doubled since the closure of Fulton School. This is starting to be making me wonder how many additional children we have that used to attend Fulton. They're now walking Central, White, and probably Jackson Street. So I have some safety concerns about the speeding traffic in the neighborhood as well. I have only praise to give to our city staff for their Herculean accomplishments regarding the much-needed repairs to the Northwest Arterial since it's been completed over 20 years ago. I also want to give additional praise to our city staff for all the additional signage and paint markings on the street to help keep our semi-trucks on White and Central Street. If this revised ordinance is not approved, I am requesting the city manager and the Greater Dubuque Corporation to continue discussing with the locally impacted businesses to please slow down your semi-trucks deliveries with using Central and White Street. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sprank. So just, I want to make sure we're clear on what we're discussing here. So I heard you use the word ordinance and motion during your statement. Are you suggesting a separate?
Yes, it would have to be a separate, totally. at some point.
So, okay, at some point. So you're not trying to make a motion at this moment right now to do this. You're looking for discussion about this among council members
Yes, and we'd have to
within the
have
current ordinance
some
discussion.
Yes, yes. And we'd have to have, at least a few of us would have, or at least 4 of us would have to agree on this idea to eventually bring it up again to council at another date.
Sure, okay, okay. So this is the discussion piece within the current motion?
Yes.
Right now? Okay, just so we're all clear on that. So we can just openly discuss this idea that Mr. Sprank has brought up. Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Sprank. So that, along with anything else, I guess, would be my suggestion regarding this particular ordinance that is currently the motion on the table. Mr. Resnick.
Mayor, yes, I'm uncomfortable talking about this if it's not on the agenda, and I'd suggest that we ask Attorney Brumwell if we can add this substantially different thing to this agenda item.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, Krana, go ahead.
Okay, so you wouldn't, there's no action that would be taken on it at the meeting. So there's not an issue with it not appearing on the agenda for purposes of just agenda construction. For moving forward, if there were consensus to make a change of that nature, there would have to be consensus in order for staff to bring it back on a future agenda.
So real quick, Mr. Resnick, if I could. So Krena, what you're basically saying is that we can go ahead and talk about this, and in the end of that discussion, if we find that among us as a member of, or a 7-member council here, we like this idea of Mr. Sprank's, we can generally direct city staff to work on something that they could bring to us at a future date. Is that what you're saying?
To bring something for discussion at a future date, correct.
Okay. But for the purposes of this motion on the table, we need to discuss the motion on the table, and this can be a part of that discussion, but the motion on the table is specific.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody clear on that? Okay. Mr. Resnick?
Well, thank you. Yes, and thank you for the clarification from the city attorney. And I'm, as far as the issue that's on the agenda item here, I'm all for this. I'm glad we're doing this. And I think it's a great thing that we have this cooperation and concern, not only for our citizens, but for our businesses who have substantial infrastructure that they've paid for, and the citizens of the neighborhood often work in those at those businesses. So it's a real neighborhood business kind of feel. So let's really get in there and get the best solution for everybody. As far as Mr. Sprank's concerns, I appreciate his good heart and his anecdotal approach to this. I guess I need some more information before I could even say yay or nay. I'm all for safety as far as lowering speed limits. I wouldn't be able to support it tonight, but I appreciate the effort, and maybe we could consider it at another time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sprank. Ms. Farber?
Yeah, I have a question for Mike. Is the traffic flow and the potential to change, or just the miles per hour per vehicle, is that part of the traffic study that is going to occur, or could it be part?
It could be part of it, sure.
So is that an option for us to maybe add that to the traffic study to see about the miles per hour and the different vehicles that do flow through that district?
Sure, it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have a question first. You know, as far as the traffic study goes, I mean, is the traffic study going to look at that anyway? Is it going to look at speeds of traffic on the?
That's what I was asking.
On the third, yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
That's your question, okay.
Yeah, my guess is that would be incorporated in a traffic study.
Okay.
It's not just counting the vehicles.
Okay.
Right, so maybe that's a good solution there, maybe, to Danny's question.
Okay. All right, Ms. Wethel?
May I ask, how do we currently set speed limit limitations on our downtown streets? What's the process for that, or?
Well, let's see. Dubuque was the first city founded in the state of Iowa. And somewhere along the line in the last 100 and plus years, it's just been established. I mean, I've been here 30 years, and I don't really remember any changes of speed limits in the downtown streets, so, I mean, I'm sure there was some analysis done initially when they were established, but I would bet that nobody could find that analysis today. But it would be part of this, would be part of this traffic study, and I'm sure we can look at some of the historical context at the same time. And if somebody could find something, they could try and answer your question. I can't answer it.
Sure.
I don't know, is there anybody from Engine? Gus, can you answer it? Gus is the city engineer. He's the person with the answer.
Gus Ahoya, city engineer. I've only been here for 45 years, so I don't know. When you do set speed limits, we look at, we do traffic counts and speed counts, and then we look at the 85th percentile, which means 85% or 15% of the people are traveling over that speed limit. And we look at that as a guide for determining the speed limit. Now, we don't necessarily set it at the 85th percentile, something less than that, but in downtown, it automatically defaults to 25. You know, I don't believe we have any streets in town that have a 20-mile speed limit, at least city streets. So 20 would be unusual. I think I've looked before, and I don't think I've seen any streets that have anything, because that's a common request that we have, you know, once or twice a year. Can we lower the speed limit to something less than the default, which is 25? So, but we can certainly look at it as part of the traffic study.
Ms. Bethel, you still have the floor if you have anything to follow up.
I think that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank Danny for bringing forward concerns of constituents, and I would just request that constituents reach out to us as we consider those things in the future. I, without question, support tonight what we're deciding upon, but I think in the future, having more input from business owners, from folks who frequent those areas would be helpful, whether it's Key City or other businesses on Central, just to get a feel from you personally also, in addition to what Mr. Sprank had said, that would be valuable for me in that decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Mayor, one unfortunate result of lowering a speed limit without data is that it creates more speeders, plain and simple. So I like the idea of calming the traffic flow and doing things with the design that will slow the traffic. And I think that's one of the goals that I've read a number of times in this study and in the history of the preparation of the corridor streetscape that we just adopted. A lot of those features are to calm traffic. The conversation about two-way versus one-way is to calm traffic and to make it a little more pedestrian friendly. So I think that's the bigger goal. I wouldn't ask staff to bring us an ordinance to drop the speed limit. I might ask staff when we do traffic studies to look at, just to include speed management and traffic calming, suggestions and measures and opportunities. Well, here's something you could do. Here's something that works in other cities. Here's something that doesn't work. But arbitrarily saying it's going to be 20 miles an hour starting next Tuesday, I don't think that would change anybody's behavior until a few people get tickets. Then it would change their behavior, but not other people's behavior. And the fact is, you still got a dangerous situation with heavy truck traffic on small streets moving quickly. To the instant issue here, one of the goals too is to remove the truck traffic from downtown Dubuque to the extent that you can. Of course, there's a lot of local traffic as necessary. But one has to look too at the overarching goal of keeping our local companies healthy and capable of doing their business. So it's a tough balance that the manager and staff have to work this year to get this done, but they'll never be able to achieve anything if we don't give them the time to do it, and that's mostly what this ordinance provides us. So, of course, support the ordinance, and I'd encourage us to tread lightly, but in the direction of traffic calming with the design of Central Avenue.
Yeah, Ms. Rousseau.
Thanks. As far as tonight's ordinance is concerned, I think it's important to allow time for our businesses to make sure that they are ready for this change, and it sounds like those conversations are happening, so I'm glad to hear that. So I'm going to be in support of that. And as far as speed limit goes, I think it'll be important to clarify whether the problem is the 25 mile per hour speed limit, or if the problem is that people are exceeding that 25 mile per hour speed limit, and we need to, as Mr. Jones said, help them to calm the traffic and actually reach that 25 mile per hour speed limit. So as everyone has said, more information will certainly be helpful in those discussions going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll jump in here, and Mr. Sprank, we can come back to you too, because I know you suggested this newer idea for us that's outside of what we're actually discussing. So first off, I support this ordinance change and appreciate the work that the city staff and businesses have done to be able to continually be at the table to talk about what's going to be best and how we need to do this. I remember talking about this when we first did it. I was frustrated when this first happened, when we had to extend it the first time. And the frustration, I think, stemmed mostly from the pandemic because of the fact that we were close to moving forward on Central Avenue before the pandemic happened, and then we had to just kind of stop and put the brakes on everything, but then allow the truck traffic to continue. And I know that upset quite a few neighbors. But I think the outline or the memo that's written here that's attached to this item actually outlines this really well. It explains the reason why we have to do this. And so much of it has to do with the timing of the Southwest Arterial and the changeover in the highways and the Northwest Arterial getting done. If it's not going to be done, if the Northwest Arterial won't be completed until next summer, or this coming summer, then it doesn't make sense that we would force truck traffic off of the route that they're on right now and put them on a highway that's going to be filled with construction again once summer rolls around. So it makes sense that we're going to do this and we're going to extend this truck traffic. The memo also points out the fact that we are in active discussions as a city with businesses about how to make this work long-term. Calming is not a technical term, but that's a great term, I think, for this particular discussion about traffic. When I envision Central, and what I kind of hear us talking about as we talk about Central is a place where it doesn't feel like you're walking down a highway in the middle of downtown Dubuque anymore. And I think that's generally what we're shooting for, because right now that's what it feels like. I think a truck could be going 25 miles per hour, but it feels like it's barreling down a highway because there's so much road for the truck to use, and it's loud, it's shaking all the buildings as it goes by. It's a challenge, it really is. But I think as we talk about design elements, as we think about how we can make this road more of a place where it's going to draw in pedestrians, slower traffic, stopping for businesses, things like it might feel on Main Street, for example, I think we can talk about design elements that will slow traffic down naturally. And that's one of the things that we heard from, when we had the work session. I think there's a lot of ways that we can do this. To your point, Mr. Sprank, I like the idea of slowing traffic down, making it feel like it's slower, making it more, pushing more towards pedestrian friendly. That's definitely the direction that I would like to see us go. As for making a specific change to do that right now, I tend to side a little bit with some of the things that I've heard from other members here, that it's, Mr. Jones, you always have a way with words. Lowering the speed limit definitely creates more speeders, and I think that is going to be a challenge. But I think that as we do talk to these businesses, I too would like us to strongly encourage traffic moving at a pace that is built more for the surroundings. We've gotten really used to driving really fast on White and Central. And I think everybody has. But I think that needs to change. And what we need to do is, as we go through this year, start to design that element in. What I do understand, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Sprank, but is there's a level of patience that's running out with how much traffic we have to deal with on Central. We've been talking about this for 4 years, and I think that's part of the issue here too. So I'll come back to you if you want to comment a little more.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it is. There's a level of patience. Folks who've lived there for decades are used to the trucks, but the speed seems to have gotten worse. And you sit in their kitchen, you can feel the walls rattle. I'm like, okay. You sit in their porch, you feel the porch rattle. Okay, I get it. And as I said before, we'll always need semis. It's how the goods and services get across the entire country. My folks did that for 10 plus years. I get it. Everything is moved on a 4x4 foot pallet. We need it. I get it. It's just asking for the respect of the neighborhoods that have lived there by the current businesses to be a little respectful. So that's all.
Well, thank you for bringing it up for discussion. I think it is an important one in this. Anyone else? All right, so the motion on the table is by Jones, second by Sprank, to receive and file and waive the 3 readings. So Adrian, I'll come to you. Call the roll, please.
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh. Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
7-0. Mr. Jones, I'd come back to you maybe. Final reading.
Yeah, we're doing an ordinance. I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance. Thank you.
Second by Sprank.
Got a motion by Jones, second by Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 4 is work session request, smart parking and mobility master plan and the historic Millwork District master plan update.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel?
I move to receive and file and set the work session for January 30th at 5:30.
Second by Sprank.
Motion by Roussel and a second by Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Action item number 5 is work session request, Sustainable Dubuque quarterly sessions.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones?
I move to receive and file the document and schedule the work sessions as suggested.
Second.
A motion by Jones and a second by Roussel. Hopefully everybody got those on their calendars. All right. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 6 is delivering Dubuque Police Department video.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank?
I motion that we receive and file and watch the video.
Second.
Motion by Sprank and a second by Jones. We're ready for the video, please.
The proper tools and training are essential for success in any line of work, but even more so for the public safety professionals who serve our community. In this episode of Delivering Dubuque, we look at how the Dubuque Police Department is preparing our officers to fulfill their oath to serve with integrity, compassion, and competence. So over the last few years, there has been a lot of discussion in the United States and in Dubuque about policing and how policing works, what modern policing really means. So here to help me with that discussion today is our very own police chief, Jeremy Jensen. Chief Jensen, thanks for coming today.
Well, thank you, Mayor Kavanaugh.
Yeah. So some of the things we want to talk about today are a little bit about, kind of how policing has worked in Dubuque, what the discussion has been over the last couple of years for us, how we equip our officers to do the work that they need to do because it's very important work in serving our community, and not just how we equip them with the equipment that they need, and they carry with them, but how they're equipped with the skills they have too. So just, I guess to start us off, what has some of the discussion been over the last couple of years about policing in Dubuque?
Sure, and you nailed it. There's a lot of things going on. In 2020, we had a work session around the Black Lives Matter movement. And what came out of that was a lot of directives, some council priorities for us as a police department, some things we were already doing, but some things that's like, we need to tweak. Transparency, how we're doing things, and letting the public know what we're doing. Less lethal options. Things about training our officers and getting our officers equipped emotionally, equipped as human beings to best serve the community.
Yeah, and I know I for one have really appreciated those discussions, as a council member and now as mayor. How do we as a department move towards equipping officers to be ready to serve the community with the skills and the emotional intelligence that they need?
It starts with the emotional intelligence. That's the umbrella. We all have an emotional response. We all have a physiological response to stress. So we're equipping our officers from the day we give them a job offer. We literally give them an assessment on their emotional intelligence and start to work with them on their self-awareness, their self-management, and their self-direction. And then we bring in like mindfulness and peer support. It's really emotional intelligence. De-escalation and duty to intervene. Well, we're already doing it, but now we're really formalized. And it's not a scary thing for an officer to step in and say, Mayor Kavanaugh, I need you to step back, maybe I'll take care of this. We're partnering with the Fountain of Youth and doing a City of Change. We're partnering with a community partner to look at, we all want change. How do we do that?
On both sides. All right.
We recently received a Department of Justice grant for $250,000 to really supplement what we're doing with Critical Incident Team, which is around the brain health. Just kind of non-traditional roles that have come out since 2020 to say, police departments need to step up in some areas. I want to point out, we've been doing emotional intelligence since 2008. We've been committed to that. We've been committed to community policing. And it's not necessarily community policing, because we're not policing, it's community engagement. It's a two-way street. The community has input in how we do business.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I've always appreciated how often I see officers out in the community at community events, and not there to be a presence of force, but to be community members and be people who are engaged with everybody else, just like we all are. So that's great. One of the things I heard you mention when you were talking about some of the new options and the ways that you're looking forward is less lethal options. As a city council, we, in our budget last year, we passed some tools that you carry with you as officers. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you approved the tasers. And the last thing we want to have happen is a lethal force situation. So that gives us options. The other thing you approved was body cameras, which gives us that transparency and accountability that goes along with this too, because that also gives us the ability to say, look, this is what happened. And so we're on our next generation of that already. Anytime we use equipment, there's extensive training that goes with that. Tasers are one. Every officer went through a full day of training, learning about force, learning about deployment, the options, the aftercare, how we carry the taser, that it's not on the same side as your firearm. They look different, they're yellow. There's intentional reason for that, so that other people know that is the taser. Officers themselves got tased. I got tased.
Taser, taser, taser.
Down. Over half of our officers did that as a voluntary thing, to just not only empathize what it feels like, but also to say, I've had it, and I applaud them for doing that.
That's great. I mean, I'm really glad to know that our officers go through such extensive training to be able to use these tools like that. We have been so successful in so many ways in Dubuque, in our police force. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the federal government tracks what we do on clearance rates, and our clearance rates, like Part 1 crimes, which are the reportable crimes, and crimes against persons, is 85%. Nationally, it's 45%. Crimes against property, our clearance rate's almost 90%, and the national clearance rate's 17%. I think it's very threefold. One is being that our community members, they are actively involved in helping us solve crime. The second part is we have great officers who are very dedicated and intelligent, and they take pride in what they do. The third thing is our technology, our traffic camera system. I think we would still clear a lot of these crimes, but how fast we can do it. And if you talk about staffing, it's just how efficient and effective we are. The staffing hours that it would take over weeks, we're doing in hours, and I'm not exaggerating. We're literally doing this in hours and able to solve that. Traffic accidents even. What actually happened? We're known that Dubuque's going to solve the crimes. We thank you, the council, and everybody that's put effort into that.
So what this conversation has really told me is just how much things have changed. How do you see the department evolving into the future as we look ahead?
And I think the key word is change, not being afraid to change, not be afraid to try new things, engage the public, engage our community. What do they want from us? And I think that's what we've learned over the last couple of years is that, tell us what our role needs to be within your community. And it may not be the same from community to community, it may be a little bit different. As we evolved, we can't just stop and say, hey, we're doing a good job, pat ourselves on the back and say that's it. We got to keep always looking, what's the next thing? Always looking for a better way to make better decisions. Is there a way we can do that? And we're not just relying on ourselves to do that. We're relying on everybody to give us feedback and input into that. And it's equipping our officers to be sustainable. So the next generation, and to give them those mindsets, and that when I leave, they're going to take it 100% better than what I left it at. And that's the goal.
You've covered a lot today. I mean, we've talked about, the transparency and the ongoing discussion in our community, how we train and equip our officers to do the work that they do, and how technology is important and all that. I mean, this is a discussion that is going to be ongoing, and that discussion is going to evolve as we continue on in the years ahead. But I just want to say thank you for being here today and being able to talk with us about this. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Chief Jensen. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to watch these. I want to say something real quick because I know we have another one coming up here too. I sincerely appreciate all the work that both staff and then our public information office has done to put these videos together, come up with ideas for what we can talk about, and be able to tell the story of what we do. As you watch this next one, I want you to I want to make sure I make something really clear. The reason for doing these videos in the first place, I kind of mentioned in the first video that was ever shown, was really to tell the story of how we provide services in the city, why we provide those services, what the funding mechanism is for those services. That story is not just for our residents and the people who live here to understand that, but it's also for everybody in the state of Iowa, and specifically now I'm thinking about it a lot as we have a legislative session that's starting on Monday. I deeply appreciate the work that our legislators do. They are public servants, give an incredible amount of time to the work that they do for us in Des Moines. But we're up against a challenge this year in that I'm hearing the discussion about property taxes and local revenue sources coming up quite a bit as we discuss as the legislature starts to get in motion here. One of the things that I think is going to be incredibly important is that we tell a full story about why we spend money the way we do in the city of Dubuque and why other cities in Iowa do the same. And this particular video, I think, is incredibly important. You look at the percentage of our budget that goes toward public safety and those public services, it's a big one. It's a big chunk of what we collect in revenues. We all know, sitting at this table, we've got the lowest property tax rate in the state of Iowa among the 11 largest cities. That puts us in a unique position where we can be able to tell a story of how do you pull this off. And those numbers that Chief Jensen was talking about, how do you provide a service at that high of a level while still maintaining your property tax rate the way it is? Because what we don't want to have happen is what I really want to push our legislature to think about is to not step in and create more of a challenge for us as a municipality. We're struggling right now to hire in all fronts of where we are, and that's not because we're a bad place to work, it's because everybody is struggling. It's a really difficult challenge. We need to make sure that we have the freedom as a city to be able to provide the level of revenue and services that we need to be able to provide. So these videos, and I think a lot of the videos that we're looking at here are a way for us to tell that story. And I think it's really important that we as a council continue to tell that story, continue to advocate for what we do here and why we do it. Because as this legislative session starts, it's going to be a very active discussion. And we really need to be able to have that discussion fully. So hopefully these videos and all the ways that we put information out are a part of that. And I think hopefully can be an example for other cities to follow too, to be able to tell their story in a way that we all need to in the state. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that before we move on. Okay, the motion is to receive and file and watch that video. So Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber?
Aye.
Wethel?
Aye.
Resnick?
Aye.
Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Roussel?
Aye.
Sprank?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 7 is delivering Dubuque Arts and Culture video.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file and watch the video.
Second by Farber.
A motion by Roussel, a second by Farber. We can roll that video, please.
A vibrant community, economic prosperity, civic pride, and inclusion. All of these describe the arts and culture in the city of Dubuque. In this episode of Delivering Dubuque,
it is art that you can experience in all sorts of weather, like the wind, which we are having today.
we'll take a look at how our community is using the power of art, culture, and creativity to drive the growth of our masterpiece on the Mississippi. So it's really remarkable to think about the sheer volume and diversity of arts and culture in Dubuque and what that means to us as a city. And that's really what the city's trying to nurture. So here to talk to us today about that is our Arts and Cultural Affairs Coordinator, Jenny Peterson-Brand. Jenny, welcome.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here today. So we're here on the beautiful River Walk, looking at some art behind us here. And you know, the city's really trying to do a lot with arts and culture in our community. And I'd love to just hear a little bit more about what you're seeing with that.
Sure, yeah. We just have a huge array of arts and culture nonprofits that exist in our community for the size that it is. We have grant programs at the city. One of those programs is an operating support program that funds a little bit of the operating budgets of our arts and culture nonprofit organizations. Operating support is some of the hardest money to come by, and so the city prioritizes helping with that because we know that in order for you to do interesting, accessible, inclusive programs for the community, guess what? You also have to keep your lights on. The other program that we host is called the Special Projects Program. Every year we hear about new cool ideas coming out of both those arts and culture nonprofits, but also other types of nonprofits. So we recently funded a program with St. Mark's Youth Enrichment so that they could bring in the Bell Tower Theaters programs to their students. Another cool thing, which I think you have one in your pocket, Brad, that we got to help facilitate is this new street art map that
great.
Travel Dubuque put together with some funding from us and from some other partners. But this is something that is a huge tourism draw for the city of Dubuque. People are really using these as a tool to get out and explore and enjoy Dubuque, both as residents and as tourists. So it's really fun to get to be part of special projects like that.
Absolutely, what a great project,
Yeah.
One of the things I think about is what the benefit of the arts is to someone who lives here, but they're not actually an artist. You know, we talk a lot about economic prosperity, we talk a lot about, you know, the quality of life benefits, and what do arts and culture bring to the city of Dubuque and somebody who lives here?
Yeah, so one of the things that this brings to mind is one of my favorite tools, which is on the Americans for the Arts website. They have this tool called the Social Impact Wheel. And if you go to that, it actually highlights things that are important to our daily lives, things from tourism to health and wellness to education. Arts and creativity have the potential to impact all of them. I mean, it makes a community more vibrant and more interesting to be in. It helps our brain health. It helps how we interact as people and create understanding amongst each other. So, and that's one thing that I even love about Art on the River this year with the theme of crossing bridges, that we had 11 artists who expressed ideas of what it means to cross bridges, to come together as a community. We're a community that embraces the arts all year round. One of my favorite events that we get to be part of putting on with the Dubuque Museum of Art is the Winter Arts Festival. So during a time of the year when we're feeling cooped up and we think it's too cold to go outside and we're all getting cabin fever, guess what? We put on a snow sculpting festival in a park downtown and thousands of people get out of their house, come outside, get to experience that joy and activity and see their neighbors again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has so many impacts on us as people, on us as a community, that I think it's really important, and I'm really proud to work in a community that prioritizes and invests in arts and cultural activities.
So one of the things that I love about art in Dubuque is that we actually are weaving it into sort of everyday activity in a lot of different ways, and things that sometimes you don't even really notice, but they're definitely there. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Going back to sort of those traditional understandings of arts and culture, sometimes people picture it and think about it being, oh, that's something that happens in a museum, that's something that happens in the theater. But really, from a city perspective, we think about it more as the opportunity that we can weave arts and creativity and cultural representation into the things that happen out in the public sphere. So we have a project that we're undergoing right now called Art en Route. We're actually using art to draw attention to the city's climate action plan, while also celebrating and drawing attention to the great public transit system that we have here in Dubuque. So we're sort of rewarding the public transit users with murals at all of the bus shelters throughout the city of Dubuque. The city of Dubuque celebrated Pollinator Week, and thinking about ideas of how do we raise awareness of and appreciation for pollinators. We had a mural that allowed people to stand up and act like a pollinator in front of a giant butterfly mural. All of those things where we're trying to just bring it out into the public, because really art is for everyone, and we want to make sure that it's accessible in people's everyday lives, and that we're also being inclusive in the voices of the community.
So one thing I want to make sure we remember to talk about here is the city of Dubuque got a $500,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, pretty big deal for a community of our size. In response to the pandemic and thanks to American Rescue Plan funds, we as a local arts agency could apply for a grant. Then we would use that money and we would re-grant it out. So again, creating more partnerships, sustaining the partnerships we already have. So because we have the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, we were able to put our foot forward. We were one of just 66 communities in the country to get funding. We were one of 24 to get the $500,000, and we were the smallest of the communities to get the top award. So we're really excited about that. Also with this money, for the first time, are going to be able to offer an individual artist grant. We can support the ideas that they want to bring forward to create community programs. Also, because it's National Endowment for the Arts, it shines a really great bright light on Dubuque and all of the great things that we have going here. So it's a really cool way for us to just keep things going and keep attracting creatives and creative talent to our community.
I hope you enjoy this poem entitled Where Would Our Stories End?
And keep making these sort of programs and activities really accessible to the community. So we're excited.
Excited is the right word. I mean, it is so easy to get excited talking to you about arts and culture in Dubuque. When you talk about how inclusive it is, you talk about the partnerships that it creates throughout the city, you talk about the quality of life that it brings. All of this is so much about what Delivering Dubuque really is about. So thank you so much for being here today and talking with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Greg. Great to chat with you.
Helps you remember when it was warm outside, doesn't it? All right, the motion then is to receive and file. Watch that video. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick. Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 8 is Leisure Services Seasonal Job Fair Video.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move that we continue our Tuesday night at the movies fest, receive and file and view the next video.
Second by Sprang.
Motion by Jones, second by Sprank. We should make sure we bring popcorn next time. We can roll that video, please.
Save yourself the wait and find the perfect summer job now. Join the City of Dubuque on January 5th from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. for a summer and seasonal job fair. There you can explore opportunities, apply, or even interview on the spot. Wages range, but some make up to $20 an hour. And most offer flexible scheduling, so there's no need to sacrifice the perks of being on break. On top of paying well and being flexible, these seasonal positions offer memorable and meaningful experiences.
As a kid that was in the program, that's what made me want to become a leader and do exactly what the leaders before me did. And that was make me feel safe, make me feel included. It's just really great core memory moments.
It's always really welcoming every year. It's just a fun work environment to be around. Everybody's really nice to each other. We're always having fun. I'll probably be here for another few years just because I've loved the jobs.
Whether it's poolside, on the field, or among the books, you can find your place this summer with the City of Dubuque.
As I was saying.
That was excellent. I mean, that's exactly what people have asked for, you know, and what we've been asking for is to be able to get the word out and make sure that we can do our best to hire the folks that we need for the summer. And I think it was really well done. So thank you very much for everybody who worked on that. All right, motion is to receive and file and watch that video. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Farber.
Aye.
Wethel. Resnick. Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Next are council member reports.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
Next Monday and Tuesday, Dubuque becomes the headquarters of the Iowa State Winter Olympic Games for Special Olympics. And It's fun for all. It's spread out. The reason it's here is because we've got, again, good ice at Dubuque Ice Arena. We've got good snow at Sundown Mountain, and we've got a lot of space for snowshoeing and snowboarding at Albrecht Acres. I think Sundown's trucking some snow out there to make that work. So it's pretty spectacular couple of days. A number of us at the table are involved in it in various ways. And the opening ceremonies are next Monday night about 6 o'clock. It's on the Riverwalk side of the Grand River Center. The kids kind of parade up from the Grand Harbor Resort up to the Grand River Center on the outdoors against the river in the backdrop and light the big torch, and it's all pretty spectacular, isn't it?
It is. It's one of the best events of the year. It really is.
So we'll see you all there.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Barber.
So before the holidays, I had the privilege of speaking at the University of Dubuque winter graduation. And there were about 120 students that walked to receive their diploma. And what I thought was quite interesting is that over 30% of those graduates were aviation students. And so when you think about the opportunities that are out there in the workforce, what a goldmine for the aviation industry. And the UD just has a great reputation. And that department, by the way, is always full of students who are just wonderful, looking for the education either to be on the management side or actually on the pilot side. So it was just a lot of fun, and it was just great to see the enthusiasm of the graduates. And hopefully a percent of those will stay in Dubuque. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any others? Well, before we move on to a closed session here, I just want to make sure that I say Happy New Year on behalf of the entire City Council. And I know that I, for one, am happy to be sitting here with all of you and looking forward to another really good year. But we do have a closed session, so we're going to sit together longer.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
I move that the City Council go into closed session to discuss purchase or sale of real estate in accordance with Chapter 21.5 of the Code of Iowa.
Second?
Got a motion by Jones and a second by Resnick. For the record, the attorney the City Council will consult with on the issues to be discussed in closed session is City Attorney Krenna Brumwell. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Barber.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Sprank. Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. We are in closed session.